We'll start the workshop at this time. And first, we have a presentation by the TOS Director, Dr. Dale Lynch. I believe that's
May I begin?
Yep.
Is it okay to stand here?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. I am Dale Lynch, Executive Director of the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents, and it is a pleasure to be back in East Tennessee. My office is in Nashville. I spend most of my time on the road from Memphis, far west of Tennessee, all the way from Mountain City to East Tennessee. But home is still not in Nashville, but home is in Morristown. So when I get to come back to East Tennessee, I love to see the mountains, I love to see folks here from East Tennessee. Thank you for letting me be here. I know that you have a very packed agenda. I see on your agenda this evening so many important topics, so I will be brief. But I also think the reading down here is extremely important. And before I share with you my true intent of being here and recognizing your CEO or superintendent, I think I would be remiss if I didn't first address the Board of Education. I want to say personally, as a former director of schools for almost 20 years, serving in public education for 35 years, I will tell you I have never seen the challenging times that you have facing you now. So on behalf of the superintendents across our state, I want to say thank you, board members, for your willingness to serve, your willingness to work with your superintendent of schools, and thank you for what you do for the boys and girls here in your county. We appreciate you and thank you. And I know we have a small group, but if you would help me give them a round of applause because they serve each other. And that truly is sincere. And I want you to know that being a director of schools is difficult, but it's even more challenging when you have a board that doesn't understand your role. It's very obvious to me that as I speak and talk with your superintendent, he's very appreciative of you. He's very thankful for your leadership and your willingness to serve in the capacity of the school board member. I also will tell you that your superintendent is being recognized by his peers. Not a greater accomplishment than one can receive than to be recognized by their peers. So at this time, I'm going to ask if you would, Dr. Carter, if you would come down front, I have something to share with you. And as he is making his way down here, I want you to know I had a chance to be in all the regions, working in East Tennessee, and I got to work alongside Dr. Carter for many years. And I know you see his leadership here in Union County, but his leadership goes way beyond the borders of your county. Thank you for allowing him to continue to grow and learn and be a leader and sharing his expertise with other superintendents across our state. He would not receive this award if he were not one that his peers recognize as a strong leader, a strong friend, and somebody they look up to. So tonight, on behalf of our Superintendents Association, TOS, it gives me great pleasure, 2022, the East Region Tennessee Superintendent of the Year from Union County Schools, Dr. Jim Carter. Congratulations.
Bill said, it is an honor to work with you all, and I appreciate all the cooperation, the conversations. I feel like we have a wonderful relationship. I do believe a greater part of anything I do is due to the school board and the people that I work with. So thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate it.
Thank you for letting me be here. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You may want to hang that up somewhere.
Oh, there's so many. I just put it in the closet and go on.
Like that girl does that won the medals at the Olympics.
That's right.
She just thrown them in the closet.
This is an honor. I will tell you that this is an extreme honor.
Well deserved. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Carter said he was humbled to receive this award, but it was long overdue.
Sure. I hope that's not the quote that makes the paper.
Don't let him be your spokesman.
Number one, the Union County Education Association.
Ms. Murr is not here, but she called and wanted me to express appreciation to the board for the blacktop at Minorville Elementary and the fence.
Okay, school board attorney update, Mary Ann Stackhouse.
No news is good news.
Exactly. Number three, special recognition or announcements, Dr. Carter.
We have none.
Good. No, that's not good. Number four, discuss school trips.
We have one Union County High School. This actually has occurred. It was approved by executive committee. It was the FFA, Horace Maynard High School FFA to Big Ridge State Park. John Fugit and Peyton Sherritt was the sponsors of that.
Okay. Number five, discuss contracts, Missy Brown. Good.
Tonight we have 4 contracts that we're going to be discussing. First one we'll be discussing is the one that we had last month for Cintas, for the maintenance uniforms, for the maintenance department. And this is for a 1-year contract, and it's a per item fee, which is broken down on the contract. As you can see, it's a unit price. These are uniforms that the maintenance department use, and they pick them up and bring them back to them. So it's a 1-year contract. And the second contract we'll be discussing is the IXL contract, and it is a learning enhancement software to show student improvement, and it is for 3 years for a total of $73,989. The third contract to be discussed is Kelsan, and it's for 1 year, and this is a quarterly maintenance agreement on the custodial equipment in our schools, like the vehicles and the floor scrubbers, and the families quarter, and that's $521 per visit each quarter. And then the fourth contract we have is for WWR, and it's an engineering service for HVAC projects, it's what we have, and it's to provide mechanical and electrical construction of the air conditioning system, and it's broken down by each school with a total of $38,190 for that whole project.
I had a question on at least one of those. The West Welch Reed, is that for replacement equipment or new additions, as it states?
And which contract is that, I'm sorry?
The HVAC engineering services?
Those are replacing some of the units at Maynardville Elementary. There was one that was in a closet at Luttrell. We didn't have to engineer it, but these were all rooftop units, replacements.
I think in all cases, it said something about additions, including Paulette, and it struck me as strange if it was an addition. I wondered why we were...
The addition at Paulette is when that school was built, HVAC was not put in the hallways.
Okay.
And so we're putting heat and air in the hallways at Luttrell and at Paulette.
So it is an addition in some cases,
Yes.
replacement in others. And then on the Cintas, did you find out what that annual cost amount is approximately?
It's a per item fee. Last year, we, about $30 a week is how that goes. Last year, we budgeted $2,080 for this year total for the expenditures on that line.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
Can I ask one?
Yes.
Mike, that updated Minorville Elementary quote that you sent, that's the one you want the board to approve, right? Not the first one you sent, but the second one. Okay, that's this one, Dr. Carter, if you'll hand it out.
Okay.
What's the actual price on that one, Mike? It's a little bit cheaper than the original you sent, right? Okay. Okay, I just wanted to be sure which one you're wanting them to approve.
Yes, it is.
Okay, number 6, discuss the director's monthly report and budget amendments and transfers. Missy Brown.
Hey, one comment real quickly on the engineering. I would recommend maybe Mike considers the cost of that construction administration, or at least a final inspection. I saw that was not included, but I think it's very valuable to have that designer to come in after the work at least to confirm it was installed in accordance with the intent. I think it's good money spent to make sure the system performs as it's
So we
planned.
can add that to the contracts, if you all can approve it, because that, we're waiting final approval to begin those.
Sure. Sorry.
Well, that's, we appreciate it.
You'll find in your packet your monthly reports. It's early in the year, of course, but all of the bonds and payments and the percentages of this time of year. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Grants to your budget each year. Front page 116, it's fund 141, and this is for the special education support page, your psychological personnel that did not get budgeted in the original budget. The money's running inside that budget is covered by. Page 216 is also general fund, and these are miscellaneous state and federal grants that we're adding into the budget. The first one being the literacy training grant, the second being the FRC grant, which is the Family Resource Centers, and the third being the SRO grant, which is the state opioid response, which is in addition to the ICAR grant to try to educate children and everyone on the opioid process that's going to do that. The page 3 of 16 is adding into the FY '22 budget for pre-K grants for this year. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop me. Page 4 of 16 is adding in the FY '20 SPF and VRS grant carryover funds, and the SPF is the Strategic Prevention Framework for Prescription Drugs. It's also part of the ICAR program. The VRS grant is the Vocational Rehabilitation Services grant, which helps individuals find work after school. Page 5 of 16 is, on the top of the page, is ICAR grant. We're adding the budget for this year. The bottom of the page is the SPF grant for FY '22 that we're adding into the budget. Page 6 of 16 begins the federal program section of the budget amendments. The first page involves Subfund 101, which is Title I for improving the academic achievement of the disadvantaged, and we're just requesting to move funding within the lines already appropriated to fill some of the needs we need in other lines. Page 7 of 16 is Fund 931, which is the ESSER 1 grant. This is the money that we're moving over from last year's budget into this year's budget for the regular instruction equipment. Page 8 of 16 is Fund 934, which is ESSER 2. And this is entering in the budget, the carryover funds left over from the and page 9 and 10 are Subfund 935, and I apologize on your forms, it says 934, I didn't catch it till after I already sent these into Lonnie, but that's actually Subfund 935, which is ESSER 3.0, so this is the new grant for this year, and it is, we're entering those funds into this year's budget. Page 11 of 16 is Subfund 936, which is the ESSER planning grant, and we're At the bottom of the page is sub-fund 940, please excuse my pronunciation if I butcher this, it's the epidemiology and laboratory capacity grant, which we will call the ELC grant, and we're entering that into the budget. That's also continued on page 12. Page 13 and 16 is sub-fund 950, which is the participant literacy network grant. We're entering that into FY22 budget. Page 14 and 16 is Fund 145, which is other education TMBA, and that is we are adjusting the budget in there due to the change in the DEP funding for the July final. We budgeted off of the April estimates, so now we're got the final numbers in place and we're correcting that. And then page 15 of 16 and page 16 are Fund 177, which is Education Capital Project, and this is just laying out all the federal or the capital projects that we hope to accomplish this year. Does anyone have any questions regarding this?
I think at the last meeting, we talked about using some of those ESSER dollars to go into, I guess, some of the teacher positions and the 141, but then taking some of that, excuse me, some of the existing dollars and from the budget previously and pulling it over to capital. Is that still, did I understand that right, or is that still the plan?
Not, okay, so these ESSERs, 1, 2, and 3, they do have personnel in there. We had some of the capital projects originally in ESSER 2, but to meet the criteria to get extra funding, we moved money out of some of those capital projects into 177, and to move other things that may have been in 141 into an ESSER grant to offset those costs somewhat. So that's why we had to change all of our capital projects, because the ones that were listed originally in ESSER 2.0, we had to remove those.
Okay.
And so we readjusted and put those in, and that was just a swap around.
Okay.
And I would also like to mention on the bottom page that there are the 9,990 is a TNRT grant that we actually received last year that was not utilized last year, so we're moving in this year's budget. And also the 202,000 for the conduits, we will be receiving another grant that will cover those from E-rate at some point after we meet all the qualifications that need to be taken care of in this year. Thank you guys so much.
Missy,
Yes.
back on page 6, that Title I budget amendment, and I'm sorry I didn't catch this either. Staff development, we wanted to decrease it to $2,500. We increased the medical insurance but decreased staff development so that it was we didn't increase the budget.
No, you did not. That is correct.
And I'm sorry I didn't catch that when you sent it.
Offset each other. I'll get that corrected now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'll get that fixed with you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Number 7, discuss TSBA recommended changes to board policy due for approval on first reading at this meeting as follows. 1.8011, emergency closings. 2.806A, bids and quotations. 3.205, security. 3.211, new project planning. 4.204, summer instructional programs. 4.205, enrollment in advanced courses. 4.213, family life education, a new policy. 4.301, interscholastic athletics. 4.605, graduation requirements. 4.700, testing programs. 5.106, applications and employment. 5.802, qualifications and duties of the director of schools. 5.117, teacher tenure. 5.200, separation practices for tenured teachers. 5.201, separation practices for non-tenured teachers. 6.200/6.200A, attendance. 6.202, homeschools. 6.319, alternative education. 6.402, physical examinations and immunizations. 6.300, code of conduct. 6.306, interference, disruption of school activities. 6.4081, safe relocation of students. 4.206, homebound instruction. 4.212, virtual education program, a new policy. Dr. Mincy.
Okay, first thing I want to point out to you is that number 7 and number 10 is included in number 7. And originally, we intended to bring you the two policies in number 10 just for you to preview, but in between the time that I put this on the agenda, we met with the central office and Ms. Stackhouse, and they were very simple policies, and the central office has discussed them, and we've discussed them with Ms. Stackhouse, and so we're bringing them to you for approval on first reading if you're comfortable with going ahead and doing that. Back up on attendance in number 7, where it's got 6.200 and 6.200A, TSBA sent us two policies for us to choose from, and discussion with Ms. Patterson, 6.200A is the one that most closely matched the policy we already had in place. So we're recommending it to you as it's presented with her recommendations. And that's about all. Do any of you have any questions about anything?
I guess not.
Okay, thank you.
Number 8, capital project report. Dr. Carter.
As we had mentioned, I guess last year, we would like to do a quarterly report on capital projects. This would not be the quarterly report, but I felt like that we should update you about what we have done up to this point. We have paved Maynardville Elementary, all surfaces and playground. We have done a seal coat on Paulette parking. I want to make sure I get all these. Maynardville Elementary's parking, fence and gate at Maynardville Elementary, and the paving at Union County High School, which was actually done in June, which is the last fiscal year, but that was completed as well. And Mike, am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
So those are the projects up to this point. We
The gym unit replacement at Big Ridge.
What replacement?
The gym unit at Big Ridge Elementary, the HVAC system went out. I think that was around $8,000 to get that back up and running, and they're in the process of doing that.
Okay. Number 9, discuss ESSER. Dr. Carter.
The only discussion we have is we have taken every measure that we are supposed to with ESSER 3.0. 2.0 has already been approved. 3.0 has been approved, and an update at 3.0 has been submitted to the state. And thank you, Dr. Mincy, and Ms. Dyer for getting all of that put together.
And Lenny.
Oh, yes, and Lenny Holt. It's a group effort, but it looks real simple on here, ESSER 3.0. We're talking about probably 2.5 months of work to get it to that point. So that is the update. It has been submitted into E-Plan, and we await their guidance.
We will. We'll not fool with number 10 since it's in number.
Right, number
Yeah, it's
10 is
included in
included in 7. So.
Okay. Number 11, discuss TNVA student handbook. Josh Williams.
Nothing's really changed in TNVA
TNBA handbook except for names. So we just want to make sure we're running through just different positions for people like that. I'm still involved in TNBA, so make sure that's good.
Does it need board approval in that case, since it only did names?
No, we wouldn't necessarily have to approve it. It was approved last year.
So we can take off number 8 on the agenda. Okay.
Now what? Okay,
We give you all problems.
yeah, go ahead. Number 13 there.
Josh, if I could, I'll just open up on this. We, of course, have our reopening plan that we used last year, and we've opened school up, and there have been some minor changes, well, possibly major changes. We want to make sure that the board had the opportunity to approve those changes as we move forward. So Josh is going to cover what changes on the reopening plan that will be taking place this year.
So some different changes real quick is, the first one's always a hot topic is masks. We're going to masks are optional, but anyone's allowed to wear a mask at any time in school. Number 2, temperature checks. We're basically stopping the temperature checks that's coming indoors. We're asking that parents take the temperature home with anything over 100.4 to stay home. Visitors is different. Visitors are welcome in the building with masks being optional but recommended. Distance learning, Union County is not offering distance learning for the 2022 school year with the exception of quarantine and homebound students. If you know, last year we offered distance learning for students that did not want to come to school. And just to give you an idea of how many we had, if that's okay, Dr. Carter. As of January of last year, during some of the peaks, we approximately had about 500 to 530 students in Union County who decided to do distance learning. We started off with about 400 in August, and it fluctuated all the way through the year. And at the end of the year, we kind of dropped down about 250 to 300 here at the end last year. Transportation really didn't change, but I did want to put it on there. Buses will be increasing ventilation with windows down to increase ventilation and cleaning between routes. In sports, we are just going to follow the guidelines set forth by the TLSAA. And so they just released, say about 4 weeks ago, their new guidelines. Nothing's really changed. I think it's more open than it was last year. So those are some of the major changes that we're doing this year versus last year. Questions about those?
Do you know if any other districts are going to take a different stance on this as it relates to sporting events when our teams and parents go to other schools?
No, I've not heard any. Of course, my son goes to Campbell County, or I live in Campbell County. We've not heard anything different up there for sure. I know masks are a hot topic right now across the state. And so, but nothing else. The distance learning a little bit, nothing there. Oh, TNBA, TNBA real quick on distance learning. We're pretty close to cap. And so on that, if you don't know where that's at, around 3,000 students. So that's where it's at. All right, so moving on, no questions there. Contact tracing. Contact tracing will still be utilized in Union County schools with terms of both staff and students. This is a difference than we done last year. Tennessee Department of Health will be responsible for contacting students and families with quarantine dates and times. Union County Public Schools will not issue any determination regarding quarantine. So in other words, if a student becomes quarantined, the Tennessee Department of Health will call them and tell them their time that they can return. In-school contact. Any student that has come into close contact with a positive case at school will need to stay in school unless showing symptoms such as a fever greater than 100.4, cough, difficulty in breathing, loss of taste and smell. While wearing a mask and socially distance until contacted by the Tennessee Department of Health. The Tennessee Department of Health will share instructions for quarantine and give dates of when the student can return to school. All quarantine dates will be shared with Union County Schools, and students will be provided with return letters from the Department of Health. Out-of-school contact. Any student that has come into close contact with a positive case outside of school will need to stay at home until contacted by the Tennessee Department of Health or upon receiving a negative COVID test. It says see COVID testing information below. We will go over that in a few minutes. The Tennessee Department of Health will share instructions for quarantine and give dates of when the student can return to school. All quarantine dates will be shared with Union County Schools, and students will be provided with return letters from the Department of Health. COVID testing information. Union County Schools will provide in-school COVID testing with permission from the parent guardian that will provide an alternative to out-of-state quarantine. So this is new. This is epidemiology grant. All right. So a student that has been in contact with a positive case can come to school as long as they are tested daily for COVID, which is a non-invasive swab to the inside tip of each nostril. Wear a mask and are socially distanced for 7 days. This option is recommended as an opportunity to allow students to remain in the school setting while adhering to quarantine and testing guidelines. So if you've ever had a COVID test in the past, it's about this long, it goes back about right here. This barely goes inside the nostril. They can tell within the next day if it is a positive or negative case. And they can do it here at our schools. In the case of an outside of school contact, the parent will need to contact the school and set up an appointment with the school nurse for a COVID test if choosing this option. For in-school contact cases, the student will already be at school, so there's no need to make an appointment with the school nurse for testing. The school nurse will contact the parent and provide information about the COVID testing prior to any testing taking place. COVID testing will never occur prior to parent guardian approval. School attendance. You go along? That's your part.
Okay, for school attendance, Union County Department of Health will send verification of quarantine dates. Those days will be entered as distance learning days for quarantine students that do not choose the daily COVID testing option to remain in school. Only the days verified by the Tennessee Department of Health will be entered as distance learning days. Parent, guardian, or court code will not satisfy the requirement for attendance. The difference in this is that we are relying on the health department to communicate to us those quarantine days. Those quarantine days will then convert to distance learning days within our system. A parent contacting the school saying that their child has COVID is not going to meet the requirements for us to place them on distance learning. We are prohibited by law to allow students to do distance learning unless they are either quarantined or they are on home bound. So we are going to rely on the health department to verify those dates for us. If a parent calls us and tells us that they're quarantined and they have not provided verification, the health department hasn't provided verification, that's going to be an unexcused absence. So I just want to make that really clear to parents that it's not about parent reporting, it's the health department report, or I should say the Tennessee Department of Health, not the health department, because they have a school team that is working with us. Moving on with that, students that are quarantined due to contact tracing will be expected to complete daily assignments on distance learning while quarantined. Students that fail to complete daily assignments will be marked as unexcused absences. Students that are quarantined due to COVID positive will be expected to complete daily assignments on distance learning while quarantined. However, these students will be allowed negative days to complete assignments as needed due to illness. So there's a difference if you were quarantined based on contact tracing or you are quarantined because you're COVID positive. If you're COVID positive, it's more probable than not that there's going to be days that the student is not able to do their schoolwork because they're ill. In those cases, they will have make-up days to make up that work. Those that are quarantined due to contact tracing, it's going to be expected that they do their work daily. And if they do not do their work daily on distance learning, that will be marked as an unexcused absence while they are quarantined. Any questions regarding attendance? This is a big deal for me. Last year was a whirlwind. And so I feel like that if we will go ahead and lay out these parameters for parents and families and students now, then there will be less questions later on.
Just to finish up real quick, other preventive measures that Union County is implementing
Not
for
last
the
question,
school year. We're teaching and reinforcing proper mask wear, as students want to wear it. Teaching and reinforcing proper hand washing techniques. Providing hand sanitizing stations in high traffic areas of schools. Deep clean, frequent clean, high volume or high touch areas. Posting signage about mask and hand washing. Cleaning cafeterias after each breakfast and lunch session. Increasing the ventilation in schools and providing COVID testing.
Thank you, Josh.
Hey, somewhat of a similar question related to distance learning. That new policy, 4.212 for virtual education, is that specific only to TNVA, or would that cover distance learning?
Distance learning, as a school district, you can have a virtual school. It has to go through the approval process at the state level. Distance learning, like as we did last year, that's not allowable unless it's for homebound students or students that are quarantined. So that's that law. It's talking about we can't use distance learning to make up a snow day or if we had to close due to COVID.
Okay. One other thing I was going to flag, that new policy that's in our packet has several highlights and fill in the blank or multi-choice options. It looks like needs to be honed in on.
You mean on the virtual?
Yes, on the 4.212. Maybe something you want to check, make sure we got the right version of, or see if it needs any additional.
$4.212.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Basically what it is, it says revise the list below to align with how the district utilizes virtual education programs. This is the full list of options to utilize the program, but not all of these are required. We didn't have anything to add to those. I just didn't take out TSBA's and include any additional local requirements down at the bottom other than attendance grades and technology survey. We didn't add anything.
Okay. So none of those highlighted options are applicable then?
Right.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Number 14, discuss school bus code of conduct. Lenny Holt.
You should have a draft code of conduct in your packet. Excuse me. A draft code of conduct in your packet. This has been a hot topic for a little while. What we have found is without having a uniform code of conduct, each school administrator had liberties in how they would address bus discipline. And so over time, every once in a while, we would get a conflict with a parent would call in and say, my student had an infraction at Lovejoy and my nephew or my cousin or neighbor had the same infraction that was a big ridge and had a little bit different consequence because of that. So we came together, Roxanne, the supervisors in the office, came up with a draft code of conduct. We shared that at our principals academy and had input from all of the school administrators. And so we are presenting to you the code of conduct that we've come up with and we want to put into practice. So that will be listed at each school. We'll be shared with the administrators and we put in the school handbooks and posted on our website. We don't have to take action because it's not going to be put in policy. So we can take that off the reading. But I wanted to present it to you tonight and solicit any feedback before we roll that out to welcome to take a look at it if you'd like, an email or call after the meeting or anytime next week. If we don't get any feedback, then I'll work with Susan Rose, and we'll get that implemented in the handbooks and on the website.
Danny, just as a point of clarification, this is suspension from riding on the bus.
Yes.
Is that
That is not school suspension, that is only loss of bus riding privileges.
Okay. Number 15, discuss employee code of conduct. Dr. Carter.
That we want to bring back next month. Ronnie, help me with the upslope.
Yes.
Upslope training. Every year our principals go through upslope training, and I've not been presented with that code of conduct, but this is the foundation, the basis of our principals, our administrators, that if there's any disciplinary action taken at the school level, that we adhere to. So I will get you that list of those. I didn't have those in hand at the time.
Okay, number 16, discuss Luttrell Walking Trail. Jerry Lawson. Mayor Lawson.
Officer Lawson.
Coach Lawson. Preacher Lawson. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to do some judge that. I know listening to Mr. Williams and Mr. Holt can be kind of tiring. You know, so I didn't say anything about 2 ladies. Ms. Patterson. So, the reason I want to thank you all for letting me come and talk to you a little bit about what's going on and what's going to take place in the city of Bluff. We had applied, we go back some years, we applied for a grant many years ago. And the city went through some stuff and wasn't able to follow through with some stuff, so they put it on hold for us. Well, when it was able, we were able to do it and get things rolling again. Come to find out we needed a survey done of the property. So, and what we're doing is we're looking to put a new parking lot in and another walkway up to that parking lot. So we be able to park and walk straight on all the way through. But what has happened, and I think, Brad, you did have,
I did, yes, sir.
you should have a map in front of you. And on that map, it says overlap area. Now, I do want to state out very clearly that I had nothing to do with this. Okay? This was done probably when I was going to school here, so it wasn't me. Okay? But in that tub, it looked like when they put the volleyball court in, it looks like they put it on the court. And what I'm asking for today, and I think you will have a discussion or not, is either a lease of this property or the city of Bluffville property. Or an easement will be allowed. Because without doing this, the city of Bluffville cannot go forward on with this project. And this also can hinder the city of Bluffville from getting any more park and recreation grants. So, but in order for us to move on, we've got to tackle this. And I did ask about the fees too. I don't know. According to Evan Sanders, the guy that broke the grants and stuff, there was never anything about a fence put in, so I don't know where that fence came from.
Okay, so I've asked Jerry to do some research to find out exactly what happened that caused this to come onto our property. And I invite you all to go, to that Luttrell Park. It's beautiful, and people use it. I was there at I would say a prime time, about 3 o'clock, 3:30, and several people were over there using that park, and it's really, really nice. Jerry showed me exactly where all this was, and he and I noticed the fence. And on first glance, I thought, well, that's the school system's fence. It kind of runs our property, with the exception, the goalpost is on the wrong side of the fence. I don't think we would ever put a goalpost on the other side of the fence. So the fence had to have been placed after, the goalpost was there before the fence. And if you go out there, that football field goes up to the fence, and then about 2 feet after the fence, there's a goalpost. That's the goalpost that's always been there.
I think that's a new rule that we'll put in football. And local gives the field every play.
Does the fence interfere with kicking a field goal?
Only if it's low.
Does the fence interfere with kicking a field goal?
If you're a skilled player, no.
Only if it's low.
If you lack a little bit, well, we might have to try.
But if you are there on site, and that's what I had to do, is go over there and look at it. So you've got the football field, baseball field, electoral, going down toward that park. And then there's a fence. And then a couple of yards after that, there's a goalpost. And then it drops off and slopes down into what is their volleyball court. There's a restroom area there, a walking trail. So, and Mr. Kopic would have some insight as to how the park became, part of this property was the Union County Board of Education's property originally, that was deeded over to the city of Electoral to do part of, I think, of this park in the first place. So I'm not sure what happened, to be honest with you. But when they were doing the park, apparently they put some over on our property, and it's hindering the city of Electoral for future grants.
I'm not sure I understand the issue here. Is it just that couple of feet you're describing, or is it this entire
No, it's
highlighted area?
Jerry, what would you estimate the
Looks
distance?
like about half of the volleyball court.
To 50 feet.
About half the volleyball court, Jerry.
Yeah.
Is it that little section that's called overlap?
That's correct.
That section is actually what belongs to the school.
Okay.
And if you look at it, the volleyball court along the walkway is inside of it.
But all the rest of the highlighted area belongs to the city?
Yes. Yes. And we're looking to put in another parking area beside the tennis court there. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see it. And then attach the walkway to it to where it can lead all the way to the whole park.
So you asked that you would like for us to give you all property.
Their choices are a long-term lease, which I don't think we have the appetite for, or we can grant an easement, or we can deed that over to the city of Electoral, or we leave it like it is and they can't apply for grants. I guess you have 4 choices. Well, I just want everybody to know their choices.
Myself, I think it would be a good idea to give it to them. Because where it's at, it's not doing us any good.
Well, I'll speak for our board attorney because I've heard her speak to this many times. Doing an easement, sometimes there's a liability issue there. Would that be the case here, Ms. Stackhouse? If we provided an easement for this area that overlaps, it comes with a certain amount of liability.
Well, because we still own the fee, so if there were an injury on the property where there's an easement, we can have a big fat fight with the city of Electoral about who's liable. Because we give an easement, we still own the fee. So we're still an owner.
Just give it
As an easement, as opposed to straight out.
And I think we've had about 15 injuries on that piece of property.
With that in mind, I believe we ought to grant you all the property.
Do what, sir?
I believe we ought to grant you the property.
And that would be very much appreciated.
That's just my thoughts.
Absolutely.
And I will tell you, that drops off, there's a bank there. The way the park was designed, the school could not use that strip right there because you've got a fence, a goalpost, and then a bank. So it was cut into in such a way that it wouldn't be anything that the school could use. And I really feel comfortable that the city of Electoral is happy to share that park with our students at any time that they want to be in that park for whatever reason. If you haven't been over there, you need to go see that park. It's beautiful.
And we do let kids use it anytime they want. We reserve it sometimes just for them. So they're welcome to it anytime. And I promise you, as long as I'm there, that you don't probably take it. Not from you all. Okay?
That would be a consideration on the right of the students in the school to use the property during school hours. Well, we need a good survey, we need a good description, so we give away the right piece.
And that would be at the expense of the city of Electoral.
Is there any
Sorry.
significance of that goalpost? Does anybody use that?
No, they can't. You're kicking uphill or over a fence. From one direction,
If
you're
it
kicking...
wasn't for the fence, was there any use of it beforehand? Or any need
Yeah,
for it?
they used to have junior pro football over there. I don't know that they ever kicked a field goal, but it was part of the football field when there was a junior pro football team or those types of things. They practiced over there.
Back when it was the Raiders, back when I was little, we used to play practice when I was playing. But I don't think they've actually used it other than to practice when the middle school field was too busy. Just No.
There's no issue down that base line of the baseball field?
No, the rest of the property is the city of Electoral's.
Okay.
Now, you do, David Quillen back there, the engineer, made mention that the goalpost would not be affected at all, even if you all did leave this over to,
We're gifting that to the city of Electoral.
so you are.
That goalpost will go with the property.
I'm sure somebody finds out there's traffic.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Okay, we'll vote on this in a few minutes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
So do we want to add that to the agenda?
Yes. I'm not sure we had that vote on that because we didn't know what determination there would be, but we can add that to the agenda.
I thought that was number 16.
Did we skip number
This is something
15?
about,
I don't,
he didn't talk about
Next
a walking trail, did he?
well, it's a grant. It's not the walking trail. They're not putting in a walking trail, but that was a part of the grant that they're doing was the walking trail grant,
Okay,
as far as I understood. So
we can vote on this as
the walking trail.
walking trail project. There you go.
So what are we actually granting that property to the city of Electoral?
That's what we're going to,
After a survey,
Okay.
And the city of Luttrell will pay for it.
and as I understand, we have a representative of the city of Electoral on our board, so
Yes, you do.
surely that would be done. But I would recommend you not vote, or you would pass on this
I
item.
thought that already planned that when I saw that.
okay, number 17, discuss UCHS guidance renovation project. Dr. Carter.
Okay, Union County Public Schools was fortunate enough to receive a grant from the AIRS Foundation, and I don't know that you all have a lot of background on the AIRS Foundation, as I didn't either. Primarily, this was a foundation for Middle Tennessee. Mr. Ayers some time ago started doing this so that he could put guidance counselors or career-type coaches in schools because he did not have, his friend did not have the opportunity to go to college, because he wasn't aware of the grants and all those things. So we have been awarded the AIRS Foundation, and from that, we received 2 guidance counselors. This is a very prestigious honor to be involved in this foundation. With that, we have to provide them with offices. We have the space upstairs on the guidance floor to provide those offices. It's actually a twofold. We can divide that space up for offices for those guidance counselors. The other issue that we were having is, I'm not sure that you all know that Union County High School houses all the permanent records from the beginning of time. And there is no more room in the records room. They had actually contacted me to say, before summer, is there any place that we can continue to store these records? And so those records are all housed at the high school. All the permanent records for everyone who graduated or attended Union County High School is in that room. So the other half of that room, we are going to make an addition to the records room. And so we're requesting the ability to bid out this project.
On the addendum, number 1, discuss additional positions, countywide nurse, Maryville Elementary custodian, Maryville Elementary teacher, and Horace Manor Middle School teacher, Dr. Carter.
Okay. Each year, you wait until your enrollment to find out what your teacher needs are. So at Maynardville Elementary, our first grades are setting on between 22 and 24 students in each grade level, or in each class. There's 3 classes of first grade, and each of those have 22, 23, and 24 students. So 25 is our limit, but you also take in consideration that these were students that were kindergarten students last year, and we missed 20% of the time because we did distance learning on Wednesday, plus the staggered time, and this is a foundational grade. So we would like to add a teacher, even though they are right now under the state guidelines, but 25 is the state cutoff. But we would like to add a teacher there just because we want to decrease the size of those classes at Main Elementary. You're 4 students away from having to do it anyway. So we're trying to be proactive with that. Horace Manor Middle School is at 750 students. They've had 50 students that have come in, and we've actually, over the last 3 years, cut positions here and there at the middle school due to the fact that we didn't have that enrollment. So this is an extraordinarily large 6th grade group, and we've had transfers or people to have moved into the county. So we are asking to add teachers there as well.
So we'll have extra classroom, is that what you're saying?
We have the space available at Maynardville Elementary. The middle school is working on where these classroom teachers will go. I'll also say my plan is to take this out of ESSER funding, and so we may do a budget amendment on ESSER funds and not to necessarily do this out of the 141 budget, because we are doing this because of COVID issues. So that would be the plan. We just submitted to ESSER 3.0, so I need to look at ESSER 2 and 3.0. We can't do an amendment to 3.0 before it's approved. So we have to wait for approval. So we'll look at both ESSER 2 and 3.0 to see what opportunities there are for those.
So how many middle school teachers are you looking at?
I'm requesting 2 at the middle school, 1 at the elementary. But I will be honest with you, I'm hopeful that we will get applicants, because finding teachers at this point is really, really difficult.
Okay.
Before we go any further, could I bring something up before the board? It's been a couple of years since we've addressed the salary of Dr. Carter. I think it's I'm pretty sure it's been 2 years. I realize teachers, staff have gotten raises, and Dr. Carter has not. So I think it's time that we look to give him a significant raise. You can look around the county and the schools and see what's going on. Obviously, the plaque voted for by his peers. I think he is very well worth it. I did contact Dr. Mincy and Missy today, and I think we have the BEP funds of $120,400 for the superintendent. And he's nowhere near that. I'm not saying that we take him right up there to that, but I do think he's worthy of his hire. And I would feel comfortable with a 10 to 15% raise for Dr. Carter, not only for the job that he does, but it would also make it inviting for the next superintendent that comes in when Dr. Carter retires. So I'll bring that up to you now.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Hey, going back to number 17, do you have an anticipated value on that project? Or will that be something you bring back?
It might
after it's bid?
actually have, we always look to have people come in. Obviously, we knew it was going to be over the bid threshold, but we wanted to have an idea about what that was. Mike, what was that number? 62,000. It would be an additional, is it 3 offices, Mike? 3. An additional 3 offices. We only have 2 counselors, but gives you room for growth, not necessarily for a counselor, for another office, and also the space to put our records in, which we were going to have to find a space anyway.
Is that an addition to the building?
No. No, there is a computer lab is what it was prior to, and it's like a great room, a pretty sizable room, and it's not really utilized like it was in the beginning. It used to be like a lab that had desktop computers on them. We don't use those anymore, so that room is not used the way we used it at the time that the building was built.
Now, on this director's salary increase.
Yes, sir.
You know, the baseball coach at UT was making, what, about $600,000 a year? The lowest paid one in the Southeastern Conference, and after he went to the World Series there, they raised him up to, what, $1.2 million?
Yes, sir.
To keep him from possibly jumping ship and going to...
And revamping the stadium.
So we've got Dr. Carter with this nice plaque here.
I'll settle for half of that.
I think we need to help the man out.
I think we do, yes, sir.
Thank you, I do appreciate that.
Okay, that's...
Whoa. So does that mean we want to addend the agenda to add that as addendum number?
You do. Yes.
I do, that's
4,
correct.
I guess.
Yes, sir.
Because you want to addend it by adding 3, granting that property to the city of Electra, right? Okay.
Well, let's see. We didn't have anything about a walking trail on the board agenda?
No.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Do we want to call it walking trail or?
No, it's not a walking trail.
Okay.
Are we able to amend the agenda during the meeting?
If, I guess if when you approve the agenda, you can approve it
Okay.
with an addendum.
Yeah, approved as addendum.
Okay. We'll say that's part of the agenda to be approved.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the workshop. Let's all stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Drew, would you lead us in prayer?
Maybe again, you for another day, for another day, be able to serve. this community, this county, Lord, and we just want to give you all the praise and all the honor and all the glory. Thank you for all these teachers, all the central office, and all the people that works, Lord. They do such a good job, and we just want to thank you for letting them be a part of our school system. And again, we just want to praise your holy name, and thank you for saving us. Amen.
We'll call this meeting to order of the Union County Board of Education. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
As amended.
As amended?
Motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carried. Number 3, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried. Number 4, approve. Is there a motion to approve the budget amendments and transfers?
That's a roll call.
Roll call vote.
Need a second.
Yeah, do a second.
Got a second?
Second.
Mr. Coffey. Mr. Collins.
4.
I reversed that again, didn't
You
I?
did.
Sorry about that. Mr. Gibbs. 4. Mr. Griffey.
4.
Mr. Moore.
4.
And Mr. Smith.
4.
Okay, motion carried. Number 5, is there a motion to approve the contracts listed here?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried. Number 6, is there a motion to approve all these recommendations from TSBA?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Got a motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried.
7 was part of
Okay.
6.
We go to what, number 10?
Actually, you're going to bring back the code of conduct next month, aren't you,
Yes.
Dr. Carter?
Okay.
You go down to number 12.
12. Is there a motion to approve the Union County High School Guidance Renovation Project?
Motion.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Number 13, is there a motion to approve capital projects?
What is it we're approving?
I want to back up a second. When we've done the budget amendments, you basically have approved those. So these are the capital projects that were brought in from ESSER 2.0. So really, when you do the budget amendment, you're because it was in the budget amendment, so you don't necessarily have to approve those again unless you want to have a discussion or if there's a conversation, but they have been approved
I'll make that
in the
motion.
budget amendment.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
Second on that.
I'm
Motion carried.
opposed just because I'm not sure what we're approving exactly, but
It's
motion
those
carries.
capital projects that we listed when we were doing the budget amendments. So it's the HVAC systems, the work that was done at Maynardville Elementary. We just did a new list from what was taken out of ESSER 2 and put into capital projects when we were moving those funds from and to those ESSER 2 and 3 funds.
Just be nice to see a list of those.
They're in there. They're in the budget amendments.
Okay.
They're listed out.
Who was the second on that? Brad was the motion. Danny Wayne.
Okay. On the addendum number 1, is there a motion to approve additional positions, countywide nurse, MES custodian, and MES teachers?
Motion.
And HMMS teacher.
Two.
Okay, we got 2 teachers on middle school. And we've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
One more time, who was the motion on that?
Cheryl.
Sure. Marty was second. Casey.
Is there a motion to approve the Union County Public School Safe Return to In-Person Instruction Services Plan. Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carried. Number 3, consider a raise for Dr. Carter. Where's,
Yeah, City of Electoral is number 3.
oh, it was? So Carter's 4, Dr. Carter. Okay, the Luttrell,
That was granting the property
Granting
to
the
the City of
property,
Electoral after, and the City of Electoral will pay for the survey.
yes. Got a motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carried.
We'll do a roll call, I don't know, I'm just saying.
Typically, roll calls are if you're spending money. So, but it's perfectly fine to roll call. Okay, can we do a roll call?
Sure. Mr. Collins? Mr. Coffey?
4.
Mr. Gibbs? 4. Mr. Griffey?
Pass.
Mr. Moore?
4.
And Mr. Smith?
And I will get with Ms. Stackhouse for any guidance or instructions about a surveyor, or let the City of Electoral choose a surveyor, and we'll bring this before you once again next month.
Now the raise.
Yes. 10%.
10%?
10%.
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion.
Motion for 10% raise for Dr. Carter. Is there a second? We better roll
You might
call.
want to roll call that.
So Gerald's the motion, Danny Wayne's the second for 10%. Okay. Mr. Collins? 4. Mr. Coffey?
4.
Mr. Gibbs? 4. Mr. Griffey?
4.
Mr. Moore?
4.
And Mr. Smith?
Motion
Thank you.
carried.
I appreciate that.
Now you can buy groceries.
Yes, let's go to the store. Thank you. So you need a motion to adjourn.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, sir.
So moved. Is there a second?
Would you like to set the next meeting, too?
No, I'd like to have a roll call vote on this. Next meeting, the second Thursday in September.
September the 9th.
September the 9th.